Basketball addicts, we are back at it, breaking down the Toronto Raptors and the Raptors 905, who begin their road to hopefully a repeat championship in the G League. It starts Friday night at the Hershey Center, and two gentlemen who played a big role in the very first championship the 905 brought home to Mississauga, of course, Pascal Siakam and VanVleet. Josie, I'll start with you on the subject of VanVleet. Yeah. First, I want you to talk about what that run meant for him, but I start with this. Is he the most important member of that second unit right now?
I don't know if you can put, I mean, that's like asking me which kid do you love more. I mean,
which kid do you love more?
I don't. I have three of them and I love them all. And that's the same thing
Good answer.
I would say about the bench. I mean, Fred is in the top 20 in fourth quarter minutes per game in the entire NBA. So it shows you the trust that Dwayne Casey has in him. But that unit functions so well together with Fred and Jakob and Pascal and C.J. Miles and Delon Wright. There's so many of them. Norman Powell. Dwayne Casey can mix and match all those combinations. Fred VanVleet has done a nice job allowing Kyle Lowry to play off the ball, both offensively and defensively, and then Fred shooting the ball. Since January 1st, he has the #1 three-point percentage from the corner. So he knows where his spots are. The Raptors, we talked about their ball movement earlier. It finds Fred, finds him when he's open, and he's able to knock shots down. So regardless of what you think of the lineup and who does most on the bench, Fred's a big part of that. And the other thing too, Akil, and we've talked about it, he's a winning player. Whether it be college, 905, here with the Raptors, the guy's on the floor, he's a winning player and he makes winning plays.
Speaking of learning how to win, Pascal Siakam had a big role, of course, the MVP of the finals game for the G League Finals. Is he not the most versatile player you've seen the Raptors draft in recent history?
He's the most impressive when you think about him just starting playing basketball less than 10 years ago. I mean, this is an incredible journey when you think about it. But, Pascal, and there's very few players that do this. They bring a certain energy to the floor, and Pascal does it with consistency. And, we talk about his ability to change ends of the floor like it's an athleticism thing. It's a talent. It's a talent that a lot of players don't have, and that's why he's so successful. But on top of that, the fact that Pascal knows how to play the game, he's got a level of intellect that he plays the game with, moving the basketball, making good decisions. You see his game improving in terms of his handle. The things that he does on the floor are way more beyond just being an athlete. And that's what I love about his game. But, once he starts to make that three consistently, he's a completely different player. And right now, I like the fact that he's still taking those threes. He's making a bit more than he was earlier in the season. But the rest of his game has so much impact and has so much relevance to the success overall of this team that Pascal, when you talk about most important player, you could throw it up in the air and say, Fred, Pascal, Jakob. Yeah. Who's more important? I don't think you can decide that, but he brings a lot to the table.
On any given night, it could be any one of those guys. Right now, of course, Siakam's a quick read, he's a quick study. Let's take a quick listen to what the players had to say post-practice.
I've been in postseason play my whole life, whether it's growing up as a kid, AAU tournaments, and high school, you got your state championship, but this is like the first time that's a series, right? I mean, they changed it this year to a one-game thing, I think, until the finals, but that was my first experience as like playing in a series. So I got there in the second game of the finals, played the last two. So it was a different feel, and it was just another experience to put under my belt.
I think the young guys that did that the last couple of years, they took their assignments very well. They went down there, did their jobs, competed, controlled. They showed they weren't, they were better to belong with us, and I think that was big for them, and I think that's one thing our G League has helped those guys do is further themselves in their career and faster, have them come up and be ready to go faster.
All right, we've given those two enough credit. Let's talk about the other guys on the bench. I'll start with Jakob Poeltl. This is a young man. You think bigs have time to adjust, slow process, but he's come on fast and strong this year. What's been the most impressive part of his development?
Well, first of all, the old school bigs took longer to develop because it was a low post game. Now, the new school bigs are more fluid. They're moving around the perimeter. They're lighter. They change ends of the floor. They're shooting the ball more. So it's a different development model for these bigs. And even when you look at Jakob Poeltl, he comes to the Raptors with the ability to change ends of the floor. Another guy, like I mentioned with Pascal, who can think the game. He's in great positions offensively, Defensively, he's much more of an impact player than he gets credit for, and he's more athletic than people think he is. But he has excellent hands. He has the ability to read offense, catch and finish around the basket, and he's one of those guys that at the back line of the defense, he's going to make and be in the right position to deal with play. So I just love what he brings in. That energy, again, him and Pascal in the back line of that defense is something special to watch.
All right, Fred VanVleet has stole some of the thunder from Delon Wright, but he's still doing great things for this group.
Delon is, I talked about Fred being in the top 20 in fourth quarter minutes. You know who's right behind him? Like literally right behind him? Delon Wright. And Dwayne Casey likes to have his 3 guards on the floor. Again, it allows Kyle to roam. It allows Kyle to be off the ball, not to get banged around in screen rolls on the defensive end, and on the offensive end become a scorer, not have to worry about distributing. Delon Wright's a big part of that. And the thing that people sometimes don't always see with Delon, he's a really good defender. He's good on the ball. He's a good help defender because of his length. He's blocked shots. I mean, I think over his time in Toronto here, he's blocked some shots from guys that are looked at him and said, who is that? I thought he's gotten John Wall. He got Dirk Nowitzki a couple times earlier this year. So he's a great defensive player. And again, when you get to the point in playoff games where your offense isn't going, you've got to depend on your defense. Oh, by the way, Delon's offense has improved. You look at his three-point shooting. When he gets his feet set and he's able to spot up, he's knocking them down. Speaking of
depending on your defense, that's what Jerry Stackhouse will be doing come Friday night as the Raptors 905 take on the Grand Rapids Drive in a one-game elimination to move on to the second round of the G League playoffs. And we will have that for you right here on NBA TV Canada. Tip-off at 7 p.m.